Hello, thank you for joining me. I want to spend a few minutes talking about laughter, as in laugh and the world laughs with you, cry and you cry alone. Though I can join in with both. If somebody's upset, I usually end up sniffing back the tears as well. And laughter is the best medicine. It's good, yes, I'll agree with that. But sometimes it can be not what you need. And I'm referring to a specific occasion many moons ago when I was in hospital having had surgery the day before, and the surgeon came in to assure me that they almost had to get out an industrial-sized vacuum cleaner to sort out my insides. Thanks. But he roared at this, and I sort of felt I should chuckle, but it didn't help with the stitches and the scar from the day before, so I switched it off quite quickly. But looking at him made me smile because he was dressed for golf, about 6'4" tall, and he was wearing colourful striped trousers and a striped top. He looked a bit like Rupert Bear. And I thought, oh gosh, and I let this man operate on me yesterday. Yeah. So why am I talking about laughter? It is good for us, but I admit I don't like many of the comics these days, the comedians on the television rather. At times my humour can be a little bit dark, a bit like the banana skin that people laugh at if somebody goes skidding on that, but it's usually if I go skidding on it that I laugh. I was walking with a friend a year or so ago, and I missed my footing and I ended up sitting on my backside on a very dusty path up a hillside. And I just automatically started laughing. At least it convinced him that I was fine, I wasn't hurt. But yesterday I went down the lane to my friend. I was taking her some art materials because she said she'd like a go at painting or something. I said, right, I've got a stack of stuff. I'll drop it down. You can have a go. Anyway, I saw her the next day and she said, yeah, that worked well. She told her husband. He said, what's that basket of stuff? And she explained. And she said, I'm going to do some painting. And he just burst out laughing. So at least my art materials have given her husband a chuckle. But on my way down, mind was in other places, but my lane is a narrow one. And I usually cross over so that I can see the oncoming traffic more easily. But for whatever reason, I'd kept on my side of the lane. I heard a car coming, so I just stepped right onto the edge, holding my basket in front of me. And this car was driven by somebody that I know and who knows the lane, so he wasn't going quickly. But as he came past, I felt that he was quite near. Well, it is a narrow lane. And so I leant back onto what I thought was a solid hedge. Turns out that it was really superficially solid. And I went gently, slowly, backwards through it to land covered by leaves and twigs on my backside. The look on my face must have been a very comedic, oh, as I went down. He'd stopped the car, got out, and as he pulled me up, checking that I was all right, he burst out laughing and called me a batty woman, so that was fine. But you've got to be able to laugh at yourself. I caused him to laugh. I caused my friend to laugh when I told her. But even more so when I was walking back, and I was on the other side of the lane, that I looked across at the hedge and you could actually see a D outline in it. So I've done a little bit of recording that I will tag on to the end, because it looks just like something you'd see in a comic strip, you know, when they go whoo through a hedge and leave the body outline in the hedge. So I felt rather like that. But it gave people a laugh. It gave me a laugh, and I wasn't hurt. Just needed to take my clothes off and put them in the washing machine ready for washing, because I'd got green stains from the leaves that I had obviously squashed in my gentle, it might have looked controlled, but it was very uncontrolled descent. So yeah, that gave me a laugh. But that ability to laugh at ourselves is important. Otherwise we get too wound up with seriousness, too self-reflected in a negative way. I've always used humour. When I was working with children, I always used humour, and they used humour back to me. And I liked the feeling that that gave us in the classroom. I used humour with clients, and obviously only when it was appropriate. But that would just lighten things, maybe as they were going out. And I wouldn't just throw in a joke. It was only if it was relevant and tasteful. That sounds again as if I am old and old-fashioned. Okay, admitting that I am, I shall say thank you so much for joining me. And I will tag on the outline. I did go down and apologise to the people who live behind the hedge. I said, I'm sorry, I put a dink in your hedge. So I took them round onto the lane and showed them, and they laughed as well. So the job was a good one. Bye for now. Take care. Speak to you soon. Bye.
X marks the spot. Doesn't take much imagination to see the shape of my head, arms that were sticking out holding the, it was just a rectangular open basket. Nice narrow waist, that's good, and a rather large backside. And that's where I, very ladylike, in a very ladylike way, just sort of fell backwards into the bushes. I thought I'd better include it because I've then got a memory of it. Masochistic tendencies rule. Okay? Thanks for joining me. Take care. Bye for now. Bye.